For 12 years now, basically every single day, besides the weekends, I just quilt something.
Welcome to Make and Decorate, a podcast for makers who love to sew, quilt, and decorate. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 33 of the Make and Decorate podcast. I'm Stephanie, and welcome to the podcast. Anyone that's new, I'm so glad that you found the podcast and are listening. Be sure to subscribe, and if you haven't done so already, please rate and review on iTunes if that's where you listen. And I just joined a couple more platforms available to that will have the podcast. So you can listen on in TuneIn Radio, and shortly it'll be available on iHeartRadio. I just have to go through the final stages of them accepting it and putting it out there. But otherwise, it's available on almost every other platform format out there: iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify. From my website, I embed every episode onto the show notes page of the website. So yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know what's available out there to listen to the podcast. All right, so we are in the dog days of summer. Probably most of the country here in the United States is hot. So we've all just been trying to stay cool, hydrate, and relax. So today, actually, I'm recording this segment the Tuesday before it goes live, and it's kind of like in the high 70s, which is kind of like a cold front for us because it's been in the high 90s and humid and just like, oh, you can't really do too much outside. But got to enjoy it while we've got it, I guess, because soon enough we're going to be freezing and scraping ice off of our windshields. So you got to take the good with the not so good. But I took a little break last weekend and drove to Michigan and cottage country, I call it, because all up the coast of Lake Michigan, there's tons of little, touristy towns and cottage type neighborhoods. And this one I went to was near New Buffalo. And my parents had a cottage up there that they rented. They don't own it. They just rented it. So I went there, and it's pretty much in the middle of nowhere too. I mean, literally, when there's no McDonald's for like miles and miles and miles, and no Starbucks, and no, there was like nothing. You're in the middle of nowhere. However, it was pretty good to just unplug. I just went up there for a couple days, stayed one night, and over the weekend. And there was no TV, no Wi-Fi. So we were truly unplugged. And really, it forces you to just take a breath and enjoy being present in the moment. In fact, I didn't even take photos on my phone until like almost the last second. So I really only have a little small handful of pictures, but my sister and brother-in-law and their two little girls were there, and it was just so much fun because they live a little bit an hour and a half north of me, and it's kind of hard to see them all the time. So it was just really good quality time. And I have a 3-year-old niece, and her baby sister, is going to turn 1 this coming week. So cute. They are so adorable. And man, those little ones love the water. They just have no fear. And it's so cool. It's just the little almost 1-year-old was like, her dad was holding her just above the water so that she could splash her arms and legs in it. And her arms and legs were going 240. They were they just naturally paddle in the water. It just is a natural thing to them. So it was just so fun to see. So it was a good time, and I did bring my crochet project. So I crocheted some more hexies, and really, I finally got the 3 rows of the stitch sequence memorized. So I'm slowly but surely kind of, getting um, proficient at this project, and it's fun. I really enjoy it. Every time I finish one of those little hexes, I feel like I complete a little project. It's kind of fun because it's not a continuous thing. That you keep crocheting, gets bigger and bigger and bigger, especially in the summertime. You don't want, a wool um, Afghan sitting on you when it's like 90 degrees out. So, yeah, making all the bunch of the little hexes is fun. So they're really cute. All right. So, I also, in the last week, acquired some new sewing equipment. And this was not planned, but it came out of a necessity from a client request. So I got the embroidery unit or module for my Bernina 780. My client wants embroidered napkins. This is the one who is doing a cookbook. She is going to self-publish it, but it's a little bit more than just self-publishing on Amazon. I mean, there's professional photo shoots taking place, and there's an editor and so forth. So it's super professional, and the interior designer and I are helping her with the tablescapes for photo shoots, and I get to make her some napkins. It's going to be really cool. And whether they use it or not, she still wants them, and she says she wants more embroidered things in the future. So this is really great. This is a really wonderful client. I love her, and she just really appreciates handmade things. And usually I hand embroider stuff for her, but time is of the essence here. So she's like, let's do machine embroidery. And I was like, okay. So I just took a chance and called my quilt shop because at the time I purchased this machine from them almost a year ago, probably about 9-10 months ago. They did offer me the embroidery module, but I just didn't need it at the time, and it was just another like expensive thing. So I didn't get it. So I just thought, let me check. Let me see if they still have it. And they did. They had one there. So I got it. And I have not even taken it out of the box. So I did a video when I got the 780 last year, kind of like an unboxing and showing the general features. And I'm going to do another video of the embroidery unit module that goes with it. So I think it would be helpful for any Bernina owners or looking to invest in a Bernina, and for anyone who's interested in machine embroidery anyway, because no matter what brand of machine it is, Baby Lock, Brother, they all kind of work the same way. They may have different proprietary features, but you need a hoop, you need an embroidery unit. Things get, embroidery designs from software, and and then you gotta put stabilizers and stitch it out. So stay tuned for a video on that. Oh, and I got, here's another great thing about getting the machines from your dealer is that the mastery classes come with it. And I'm pretty sure the other brands do the same thing. I know when I used to have my Baby Lock, or when I got my Baby Lock, they had classes for that as well. So I think every brand of machine sort of offers those types of things. And if you purchase from them, then you get those classes for free. And this particular class costs $45. So that's a nice savings. And the mastery class, that is the Bernina, is just pretty much like they start off, they may have 2 or 3 levels of the class. And the first one basically is just getting to know the machine and how to use it and what you can do with it, different features. And then maybe the second class gets a little bit more intermediate, and sometimes there's even a third class and it gets even more advanced, so that you can really explore and actually use all of the features, bells and whistles on the machine. All right, so another thing that I saw recently is Silhouette is coming out with a Cameo 4 machine. That's going to be available around September, October timeframe. If you are a Silhouette user, there's places where you can pre-order this, but they've actually caught up with the Cricut Maker, and they have a rotary blade that will cut fabrics without having to put a backing or stabilizer on it. That's huge. And this is a really big improvement of a model, because you know how sometimes they're like, we'll release this or release that, and maybe it's just like, oh, that's not enough to upgrade the machine. This one is, because there's just a lot of key upgrade features that I have been looking for and wanting, and I almost was thinking of going to the route of the Cricut and getting the Cricut Maker. But I'm so happy to hear that Silhouette is introducing this, because I'm familiar with it. I know how to do the design software, and I like the machine. I like the Silhouette 2 that I have. So I'm looking forward to it. The other thing that it has, just to give you a couple of the features, if any of you do vinyl or cardstock crafts, and the vinyl would be like, sometimes maybe if you do vinyl stencils or heat transfer vinyl that you press onto clothing, this machine has a what do they call it? The built-in roller. I'm not saying it right, but basically you can put the roll of vinyl into this space made for it, and it will feed into the machine. So I think before you had to purchase an additional gadget for that. So that's built in. And the rotary blade is huge. I love that they have a rotary blade. And of course, they are trying to differentiate themselves from the Cricut Maker. And they said that the rotary blade, the machine detects it right away, versus on the Cricut Maker, it has to kind of run a little bit, scan or whatever, to determine which blade has been put into the machine. The other thing is the speed. They really amped up the speed, and it cuts and it draws about 3 times faster than the previous machine. And what else? Oh, there's other features, like there's this weeding tool. Weeding is where you have to pick out all of the negative pieces of vinyl from the design. Let's say if you have a letter O, that inside of the O, you want to take that part, cut out. Yeah, I mean, there are a ton of features on this. They have 3 different sizes. So there's the Cameo 4, there's the Plus, which will be 15 inches wide. I think the standard Cameos, so the Cameo 4 would be the standard 12 inches, because their mats are 12 by 12 and 12 by 24. And the Plus would be 15 inches wide, and the Pro 20 inches wide. And the other thing with this is huge, is that you can cut vinyl, cardstock, everything but fabric, really, without a mat. That's pretty huge. That's amazing, really. So I'm looking forward to that. Let me know, you guys, which machine you use, and if you are just about to purchase a Cameo 3, maybe you can wait until September, October and get the brand new shiny Cameo 4 with the rotary blade. The rotary blade is going to let you cut whatever shapes and appliques and types of blocks for quilting appliques everything for your sewing and quilting needs. So that is really cool. All right, I'm going to get off of that little thing. I don't get anything from Silhouette, absolutely nothing. So I'm not promoting because based on getting something. If anybody wants to be a sponsor, you can let me know. I am open to that. All right, so next, just got another thing or two before we get into our conversation with my guest. So I've got a pretty major announcement for the podcast. I've published year-round episodes the past year, and I took about a 2-week break in between Christmas and New Year's. So it kind of was like a podcast boot camp for me. I mean, I went from just starting and learning and self-taught everything, the software, Skype, and that's what I use right now to record the podcast with all the different guests, the editing software, the publishing, I mean everything. So it's really was a good kind of like that. I remained consistent and I grew in experience and have gotten so much better, feel so much more comfortable with it. But I'm one person, and it's too much for one person to program, produce, record, edit, publish with extensive show notes. I insert the photos, the video clips, the links, everything in my show notes. So all of that takes a ton of time, and really to avoid burnout, because I can kind of feel it creeping up, I've decided to do the podcast in seasons. So season 1 is going to conclude on August 15th. And then I'm going to start season 2 probably around the end of September, beginning October. And then that season, so basically I'm going to do the seasons that they'll sort of follow an academic type schedule, to where I'll record and start the season in the fall and take a small break between end of the year and New Year's, pick it back up and go through the end of May. And then that will end that current season, and then take that break until the next season starts. So I think that actually will work best for my format, because I do also do a long format podcast. And I know that's not for everyone. I haven't heard too many complaints about it, but I've seen like maybe 1 or 2 where people are like, oh, my commute's only 20 minutes, or I don't really want to listen. I don't have time to listen to all that. And that's fine. There are 20-minute podcasts out there. So, but I wanted to do a long format podcast. I wanted to hear conversations with creatives and people in the sewing, quilting, decorating world, where it was a casual conversation and not just a real quick 10-15 minute conversation, and you really just glaze over topics. So I really wanted to get to know these people, and it really has been working well, because we just get to talking, and before we know it, we've talked for like 45 minutes to an hour. But yeah, so that's pretty much the format of my podcast, and you don't have to listen to it in one sitting. Although some people do listen to it while they are sewing or quilting or crafting. And, I listen to many long format podcasts. Joe Rogan happens to be one of them. Some of his podcasts are like 4 hours long. I think they average 3 hours. But he has podcasts anywhere from an hour and a half to 4 hours long. So, 4 hours, that's kind of a bit much. But again, he's got a whole team. All he has to do is show up and talk to his guest. He doesn't have to edit or produce or whatever. So, but anyway, yeah, I like that one. And there are a few others that are longer formats that I really enjoy. And I listen to podcasts a lot in the car everywhere I go. And I just kind of like, pause it. And then when I get back in the car, I pick it back up. Or, if I'm at home in the kitchen, turn it back on. So if you're new to listening to podcasts, I'm just kind of giving you suggestions on how you can listen to them, especially the longer formats like mine. And I hope you enjoy it. So again, just know that after the 15th, I'm not going away. And it's just that I'm changing the format, and I'm going from episodic to seasonal. And I think that'll be great. So as usual, please send me your feedback. Let me know what you think, and we will continue. All right, so we're continuing our series on the different types of quilting, and this is the 4th episode out of 5 in the series. Today we are going to talk all about longarm quilting and a little bit to do with rulers. So my guest is Natalia Bonner, and Natalia is a longarm quilter. She's been doing this for over 12 years now, and she's from Utah and lives there with her family, and she does YouTube videos on quilting, and she does videos to where you can adapt the longarm quilting designs to domestic machine quilting. And she has some great books and some tools. She's got rulers, and she has a brand new ruler coming out in August. So I'm really excited for you guys to hear our conversation. And this is a big and. Natalia has so generously offered a discount in her online shop. So she gives a promo code towards the end of the episode. So be sure to listen for the promo code to get your 15% off the Peace and Quilt Shop. I'm so happy to welcome today Natalia Bonner to the podcast, and Natalia is a longarm quilter. So welcome, Natalia.
Hi, Stephanie. Nice to be here.
I'm so nice to have you. And this is going to be the 3rd episode in my quilting series, and the first one that I'm doing about longarm quilting. So I'm so excited about this. And very excited to talk with you. So let's start just about talking about your creative story and what led you to longarm quilting.
Oh, okay. It's kind of a crazy story. I'll just give you like the quick version of it because I could sit here and tell you for hours. But I was raised sewing, so it's something that I've always, being around crafting and sewing is just something that I feel like kind of comes natural to me. But about 12 years ago, I was pregnant with my first child. Like many people have a very similar story. You get pregnant and then all of a sudden this weird thing happens to you where you feel like you have to craft or something. So I had a full-time job. I was commuting to and from work every day. And on this Thursday night, I got this crazy idea that I was going to make all the decor, everything for my daughter's nursery. So I went to my quilt shop, bought everything, drove home from work. I had about an hour commute to and from work each morning. So got home that night, made everything in one night. So I was so excited about it. Then called the lady that had longarm quilted everything for me forever. And she's like, there's no way I can do this before you have your baby. And so at that time, I'm like, I guess I have to buy a machine. And if I buy a machine, then I could just do this as a hobby at home. And I could, it was 100% just this mindset of I'm going to do this hobby thing. It'll keep me busy when I have a baby. And then it exploded. So that's like the quick how I got into it.
So then you had been quilting before you got pregnant? Is that because you've been sewing forever, right?
Oh, yeah, like sewing and just like basic, like as far as the machine quilting part goes, like maybe a placemat, like
okay,
tiny. Like I really had no idea what I was getting into when I bought my longarm. So I guess I should go back a little bit. on this Thursday when I decided all of that and she told me she couldn't quilt it, I got online and started researching, and I'd always heard that Gamels were a really good brand of machines.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, well, if I'm going to buy one, I want to know that there's a dealer. I don't know why, but maybe just like referring to cars, because it's kind of like buying a car. I wanted to know there was someone close to me that could help me in case something happened. And there happened to be a dealer like 30 minutes from my house. So I was like, I'm doing it. I'm buying this machine on Saturday. And I went and bought my machine that Saturday. So yeah,
that is
kind of
crazy.
It was really crazy. I had honestly, when I walked into the machine dealer place and I had researched, I knew what size of machine I could fit in my house, you know, everything. I had it all down. I had the check ready. I was going to buy this thing. And when I went in there, they're like, well, do you want to try it out? And I was young too at the time, like I was 25.
Oh.
And they're like, do you want to use the machine or see how it works or anything? And I'm like, no, I'm scared to death. So I honestly bought the machine without ever touching it or anything. So it was very crazy. I don't know that that's the smartest way to go about buying a machine, but
no, but that's like similar to what in my last episode with Jackie Gehring, where she just dived in. I love it. You just dove in there and you got a Longarm. Like your quilting then is based on Longarm quilting, not like starting with machine quilting first and then graduating to a Longarm, right?
Yeah. So I'm totally like back basically to most people. The way that I've written all my books and I teach and everything, I teach so that you can do it on either the domestic or the Longarm.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, all of mine is on a Longarm.
That is so cool.
At this point, I'm awful. People ask me, will you demo it on a domestic? I'm like, no, because it will look worse than a child. So, yeah.
Oh, wow. So you got this Gamel Longarm, and how long did it take you to just kind of learn?
So the one thing that I will tell you, and I'll tell you this for everybody listening, when I bought this machine, as you all probably know, it is a really big investment. So from that point on, every single day I quilted something. Maybe it wasn't a whole quilt. Maybe it was just a piece of fabric that I loaded and just quilted loops on it or whatever. But for 12 years now, basically every single day, besides the weekends, I just quilt something. So honestly, pretty quickly, I have a lot of family that quilts and, that sews pieces. Mm-hmm. So they would start sending me their tops really quickly. I started quilting for them. And I'm not saying it was great quilting I was doing for them. I was finishing things, but I was improving and my skills were getting better. And still to this day, I feel that way. I've quilted thousands and thousands of quilts now, but I still, every single quilt, I feel like, okay, that was a little better. That was a little better. So I feel like, we're always all improving.
Yeah, always learning, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you just developed your skills just by practicing and doing this every day. You didn't take any Longarm courses from?
No.
That's so
I'm crazy.
Cool though. That's good.
I took the one class at the store that taught you like the basics of the machine, the foundations and all of that, taught me how to use a pantograph pattern. But as far as machine quilting goes, I'm 100% self-taught. So when I do teach, I do things that are totally against the quilt police rules and things like that. But who cares? Why do you have to follow all of these rules?
Right. Yes. And I have seen your quilting on your YouTube channel, and it is stunning. It's amazing. I'm just blown away. And so, that's kind of a dream of mine. I keep telling my husband in 5 years, I need a Longarm. I'm just telling you right now.
Yes.
And
I'm with you.
And he thinks he gets out of it because we have like a small, narrow house, so tiny rooms. But your room is not that huge, and and
I'll tell you, the size of the room should never be an excuse. When I did buy that first machine, I lived in a condo, and the room that I had to buy the 10-foot table because the room was so small that it went from, I had a sliding glass door here and I had to take off the closet doors at the other side of the room. So the machine touched the sliding glass doors and went into the closet. So you do work from the back of the machine quite a bit. And I was also pregnant, like 8 months pregnant at this time. So I would climb under the machine. So as long as you've got like 10 and a half feet somewhere.
Right, right.
You can fit it.
Because it's not like you can put it against a wall like you could like a regular
No.
sewing machine or like a sit down mid arm. You have to access both sides of it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you really do. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, but I saw a setup in one of your videos from 2014, and I think you were loading a quilt on there, and I was like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, that room doesn't look that huge, but she's got pretty sizable. It's not like a 6 or 8 foot long arm. It was
No.
bigger, but I wasn't sure how big it was. So 10 foot, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
my machine's on the 10-foot table. So it's the smallest of the gamma tables, but
Mm-hmm.
you can still quilt 100 inches wide on that. And personally, I'm not making quilts bigger than 100 inches. So,
Right. No, I
yeah,
mean that's like a king size, quilt.
yeah.
So. That's fine. And so, how do you like the gamma? Because I've heard the same thing. I've heard that that is really like a tried and true long arm, and I haven't heard anyone who has had it not love it.
Yeah, I am. So this is my second one that I have now. I don't know if you, well, nobody can see it, I guess. But I now quilt on a 22-inch machine. I started out on the 18, which was their smallest machine at the time. And something
Hmm.
I will tell you about long arm quilting in general, I think a lot of us go into the stores or to shows or different thing and think, I gotta buy the biggest machine there is out there. So if you're doing like only computer guided quilting or things like that, the biggest machine is awesome because your throat's big. But where I do mostly hand guided type quilting, you actually want a little bit smaller machine because then you can guide it. If a machine's 30 inches long and you're trying to reach your arm, I'm not tall enough to reach 30 inches and I'm pretty average height. So that's my one thing I will tell you. As far as the Gamel brand and all of that goes, I don't have anything bad at all to say. I've heard all these horror stories about machines, and I now live 4 hours away from a dealer, but I still haven't ever had. There's been one time where I actually broke this major part on it, but it was
Hmm.
totally, I ran over a piece of metal with my machine. So, and it was really like $100 fix,
Oh wow.
considering, like something major that I did to the machine. So they're pretty heavy duty, awesome
Yeah, I
machines.
like that. And um, is the machine like more the gamma? Is it computerized or is it mechanical?
So they have both. And on my machine now, I do have the computer, but I pretty much only, I'm a really bad advertisement for the computer because I pretty much only use it for like completely edge to edge type quilting. I'm so used to doing the hand guided stuff. I know a lot of the things that I do, you could totally just set up on the computer and have the computer do it. But maybe it's a control thing. I don't
Uh-huh.
know. But it's the awesome thing is it seriously is like a 10-second thing to disconnect it from the computer. Like you just twist two screws and it comes undone.
So
So
the
you can work
but
back
the
and forth.
machine itself is like mechanical, where like it's like there's not electronic components to operate the machine. It's an add-on that just plugs. It's like a plug-in to put the computer. Is that
The computer part.
to hook up the
It's like
computer
a whole
part?
separate
Separate
system
unit,
kind of
right?
thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you can buy it with the computer or without.
Okay. And without the
Yeah.
computer is completely hand-guided quilting.
It is completely hand guided, but they do, I believe, I could be wrong, that all of them do have the stitch regulator part
Oh,
on it
okay.
now. So a little bit,
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
not like totally computer driven, but yeah,
Right. But
has
it
a little
helps
bit of
to
help there.
regulate the length of your stitches if you're kind of
Yeah.
just starting out.
Yeah.
Um,
Like,
yeah, that's cool. And I know that, some long arm quilters just only prefer and only do like that. What do you call that? You just said it. Edge to edge.
computerized.
Yeah.
Yeah. The edge to
And
edge. Mhm.
that's just like a repeat of the same motif
Yeah.
across the entire quilt. And
Yeah.
it's pre-programmed most of the time, right?
Yes,
Okay.
there is a way that you can do it the hand guided and you trace a pattern on the back of the machine.
Okay.
So that's another way that a lot of people do it. That's actually the way that I learned a lot in the beginning, but the computers have become so popular in the last
Yeah,
5 to 10 years that
sure.
most of what you're seeing done that way is computerized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So like
absolutely.
computer driven.
Yes, yes. So that was a very good tip because I did not know that. But if you're interested in only hand-guided quilting, the smaller machine, and what Natalia is talking about is the harp space, right?
Yeah.
of the
Yep.
machine from the needle to the back and how far it pulls over the quilt
Yeah,
surface.
exactly. Yeah,
So the 18
exactly. So
inch would be perfectly fine for that because you like you said the reach.
yeah, exactly. The
Mm-hmm.
reach is really great. The only reason when I did upgrade to a little bit bigger on the 22 is even though you have that 18 inches, you can only work within, I'm not even exactly sure, but I couldn't fit a whole entire like 12-inch block on point.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I upgraded, I just wanted to be able to fit one whole entire block on point into my throat. So
Oh,
just for
okay.
that little bit of extra space is why I went up to the
Gotcha.
22.
Okay. Okay,
So,
got it.
uh,
So, and then your routine maintenance with it, is it similar to like a sewing machine where you just kind of clean it out every time you get done with a project, dust it, and do you have to oil it and
yeah, you do oil it, but it's like, it's so, like it has
minimal?
stickers that tell you oil. Like,
That's
it's
great.
so easy to oil it and
Yeah.
dust it and all of that, that it's really, and the dealers can come to your home and do maintenance for you because it is
Uh-huh.
a big ordeal, kind of, well, not huge, but it is a little bit of effort to lift the machine off and actually take it to the dealer if it needs more servicing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they also come to your house, so it's really awesome.
Oh,
That's
wow.
another thing to be like that I love about the Gamma brand is that their dealers come to your house and set up your machine when you purchase it, or when I've moved, the dealer has come and moved it for me. And just because, like I said, it is such a big expensive piece of equipment that I don't want to mess something up. I want to know that it's done
Mm-hmm.
right, so I really do appreciate that they do that as
Oh
well.
yeah, that's great. So when you started long arming, as you started to do like family quilts, and then did you start and do you still quilt long arm quilt for clients?
Yeah, so it quickly turned to quilting for mostly like friends, friend clients,
Mm-hmm.
and then, kind of growing from there, different people, different things. But back then, 12 years ago, was when blogging was such a big thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
everybody was blogging. So that's really how I grew my customer base originally. Obviously, I was friends with the quilt shop people and the people in my guilds and different things like that. But people seeing my work on my blog is really, social media is really how my whole entire business has
Wow.
grown.
Very
So,
nice. Yes,
yeah, yeah.
absolutely. Um, So then I wanted to ask you about batting because it seems like long arm quilters prefer a different type of batting to machine quilters. So, what is the
Mhm.
batting that you think does best with your long arm quilt machine?
So I really, really love, and the reason, so I know a lot of people love like that crinkly washed antique look, which I kind of have strong opinions about these things. If it's going to be like a functional quilt, so one, like we were talking about, the ones with edge to edge quilting, something that you're going to use and you want to cuddle it with, then yes, you probably do want that really soft, crinkly look.
Hmm.
Um, Most of the quilts that you see me quilting and things like that are custom quilting. So I don't necessarily want that look. I don't want to spend and even have my clients pay me a lot of money and spend all this time just to wash a quilt and lose the quilting to the crinkle.
Hmm.
So that's why I'm really passionate. Well, one of the reasons about the battings that I use. So my favorite battings are the Quilter's Dream Poly Deluxe. So it's a polyester batting. It's a really low loft polyester. So it's completely opposite. When you think polyester, everybody thinks like the tricot quilts from the 80s that are super high loft. It's
Yes.
nothing at all like that. Like low loft, similar to what everybody knows Hobbs 80/20, things like that as.
Yeah.
It's a really low loft, but it's a little bit denser batting. So I'm still seeing a lot of texture with my machine quilting. And it's actually really breathable. So I live in a really hot place
Oh,
and my
yeah. Where
kids
are you calling
and
from?
I'm
Sorry, I
in Utah,
interrupted.
southern Utah. You're
Oh,
good. I'm in
Southern
southern
Utah.
Utah, so hot, like Vegas, close to Vegas, so it's
Oh,
hot here.
yeah.
But that even though it's a poly, it's really breathable,
Mm-hmm.
and it just keeps that shape with my machine quilting. It does relax and loosen up when it's washed, but you can still see what I've done. So the other one that I really love
Mm-hmm.
is the Quilter's Dream Wool.
Oh.
And the reason I love that is because it's a little bit loftier. It's a really soft batting. And that's the majority of quilts that you see me quilt. That's what I'm using. And people are always like, how do you get such great texture? And it's the batting. It's really nice, good quality
Yes.
batting.
Because even
Yeah,
when I
so
see
it's
you
a
quilting it on your videos, it just seems very crisp and defined, and that's what you're looking
yeah,
for. So
yeah.
the poly batting that you use, is that the 100 or is that the 80/20?
It's 100% poly.
Okay, Quilter's Dream
Mm.
100% poly. That's
Yeah, it's called
interesting.
poly deluxe. So there's different
Deluxe.
lofts of
Yeah.
it. The deluxe is the one that I really like.
Okay.
That's yeah.
That's
Yep.
interesting.
Yeah.
Because yeah, a lot of people do like I guess when they machine quilt their own quilts, they love the cotton or all cotton, or maybe they want
Hmm.
all natural. But the wool, I have some Hobbs wool batting in my closet
Uh-huh.
that I'm wanting to use.
Hmm.
But I'm excited. I just it's I got it for me, so of course it's going to take me forever to
Yeah.
make my own quilt.
The one
But
thing I will say though, the Hobbs wool, and nothing against Hobbs or their brand or anything,
sure.
you're not going to get the texture that you will with the Quilter's Dream.
Okay.
It's not, it's a, I don't know the exact numbers or anything like that, but the feel of it to me, the loft just isn't the same. Like you would probably have to double up that to get the same type of texture
Oh, that's
that I'm getting with
interesting.
the Dream
Yeah,
brand.
it's
Yeah.
got to be different across the
Not all
brands.
created equal.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And Quilter's Dream, the only one that I've really kind of seen in person is the 80/20, which was even
Uh-huh.
so much more luxe than the other 80/20 that I've seen.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's a really good,
mhm,
it's a really great high. I don't hear about Quilter's Dream as much as I hear about some other brands, but
mhm.
in my opinion, it's their brand, their battings are probably the highest quality that I've used.
Oh, that's good to
So,
know. Okay, very good. So just a quick review. If can machine and also can machine quilters get the same type of um, output when they quilt on their machine with, let's say, this 100% deluxe poly batting? Will
yeah.
they get like that crisp design, and when they wash it, same deal, right?
Yeah. And so the awesome thing about those battings too is they are pre-shrunk. So you're not, you may get like a tiny, tiny bit. They're saying like 1%, 1 to
Mm-hmm.
2%, I think is what they
Oh
say. Don't
wow.
quote me on that. But it's like you're getting very minimal shrinkage with those. So
Yeah.
that's really, like I was saying, why I love those versus a cotton
Yeah.
that I'm not getting, when the quilts are washed, I'm not going to get the shrinkage like I would with other
Right.
battings.
Okay. Cool. That's
Yeah.
good to know. It's very informative. I didn't know that. So that's why I'm doing
Lots
these.
of
That's why I'm
trial
doing.
and error here.
Yeah, and that's why I'm doing this series because I just want to present to all the listeners all the different types of quilting out there, and not to be afraid to try one or the other, just to
Yeah.
see how it is for you. Because in the end, most of us do kind of gravitate towards something
Yeah.
more than
Yeah.
something else. Yeah.
Exactly. And just because I say these doesn't mean that's what everyone has to use. It's just what I'm using to get, the look that I'm getting.
Right. And even if they
Yeah.
try it just like in their practice quilting, because that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I want to try this 100% poly and just practice and see the
Yeah. Just
difference of
practice.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, to the others. So
Yeah.
that's good to know. And do you like to piece quilts as well as long arm your quilts?
I do. Piecing is kind of, as weird as it is, it's kind of like my hobby. A hobby, I should say. Even though I'm like quilting all day long, quilting is so different from piecing that
Yeah.
it's like, I almost feel like I'm kind of a normal quilter person when it comes to piecing. I'm not that great at it, but I do really enjoy it and have a lot of fun
You enjoy it.
piecing.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Good. Um, yeah, because you seem to spend a lot of time with the long arm. Like,
Yeah.
you know, that's
Yeah.
like
That's
your,
the majority.
yeah, but you love it, so that's good.
I really
Um,
do.
yeah, you could
Yep.
tell it. So, and that's gonna get us into our next topic, and that's where I found you. I didn't even know about you until recently. Maybe like I discovered your YouTube channel 4 months ago or so,
Mm.
and it was a video of, and it just popped up. And I love it when YouTube does those recommended videos because that's how I discover so many people's different
I totally
channels.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah. And I saw you quilting. You were doing these different blocks from the is it Elizabeth Hartman,
Yeah.
the Fancy Forest quilt.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have,
around January-ish.
yes, that's when I
Yes.
discovered it. So, and I have to make that quilt as a baby quilt for my sister. So
Oh,
I was like, oh, this is so awesome. I'm getting quilting ideas.
yeah.
But yeah, so that's the like first videos that I watched of your channel. And then I subscribed. So what? And you have like a very nice following on your YouTube channel.
Thank you.
When did you start that? Because the earliest video I think I remember seeing was the 2014 one with you loading the quilt on your machine.
Yeah, so it's kind of a crazy thing. I actually started my YouTube channel about 8 years ago, but at that time it was like I didn't even know what YouTube was. I didn't know really anything about it. It was just like every once in a while I would just like film something and then just put it on there. Like no rhyme or reason, nothing. Like I don't even think they have descriptions. I don't even know if things have titles. Part of me's thought about deleting some of those older videos, but then I'm like, you know what? There's still maybe value. I don't know. And it's fun to see that
Sure.
things have improved.
Yeah.
So then like about a year ago, just kind of the same thing. One day I shared one and someone's like, and at this time I had a really like a couple thousand followers on there, but one of the videos just went crazy. People were just so excited about this one video. And it kind of like was this light bulb moment to me because I was like, I never really, I didn't feel like I had the right platform or thing because I felt like everything I was seeing on YouTube was more block based and more piecing, not as much of the actual machine quilting and machine quilting on actual quilts. You know, I've seen a lot of
Yes.
stuff, blocks, different stuff like that, but I'd
Mm-hmm.
never really seen, here's an actual quilt, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So at that time I was like, oh, maybe I should share a little bit more. So I hired someone to edit my videos and but still not really knowing what I was doing until about December, January of this year. Then I was like, okay, there's actually, you know, I could see my subscribers were growing and all of that. And I was getting so much positive feedback that I was like, okay, there's something here. People are really fascinated by that. So that's when I've obviously put a lot more effort into it. And it's done really well so far.
Yeah, it has. What is the video that you said exploded?
I can't remember exactly. There was a couple of right around the same time, but I think one of them was the machine quilting that I did on one of the Tula Pink butterfly quilts. And I just
Oh.
showed, you know, it's a quilt. It was actually my grandma's quilt. So it's kind of one of those funny full circle type things for me because that's who I started quilting for originally. But I just like showed my process of me
Hmm.
quilting that quilt and people, I guess, liked it.
Yeah, and I think you make a good point because there really is not a lot out there of quilting actual quilts.
Yeah.
And it's very, and that's, I think, what drew me to it because even on that Elizabeth Hartman, I mean, I saw like the whole quilt, I,
Hmm.
and I was just, and I still am, just you know, relaying your information and translating it to machine quilting on a domestic machine for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's doable. So,
Yeah. It
uh,
totally is.
yeah.
Obviously, holding the fabric is different, but the paths that you follow to get,
Mm-hmm.
you know, whatever it is, a pebble or whatever, it's the exact same path. You're
Mm-hmm.
just moving the machine or the fabric. So,
Right, right.
yeah,
Yeah.
I try to tell people don't be intimidated that I do it on a long arm because I see amazing show quilts all the time that are done on domestic.
Oh,
So
for
anything
sure.
can be done.
Yes. I mean, I have seen some domestic machine quilted quilts that I thought were long armed and they were
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. So
It's
it can be
amazing.
done. Don't be discouraged.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And then now you're doing a series on your YouTube channel. You're in the middle of like this 365 day. So you're uploading a video every day for
We are
365 days?
every we are. It's maybe a little bit crazy, but I feel like that's just me in a nutshell. I'm a little crazy. No, but well, it's probably been about 2 years ago, I created my first machine quilting ruler, the 4-in-1, and people were interested in it, but I would notice every time that I would teach in person, that aha moment that I would see when people could see how to actually use a ruler and see how, even a beginner quilter, maybe free motion is kind of difficult when you're starting out, being smooth and all of that. But when people could see, oh my gosh, I can just glide next to this ruler and get really nice crisp lines, it was like exhilarating to me that I could see this light bulb thing happen. So at that time, I started coming up with ideas and different things. And really, it just, here's 365 ways that you can use my machine quilting rulers on your own quilts, and so that with this series, I'm focusing on squares, circles, and triangles, because with our quilts, those are the most basic shapes in quilts. Mostly it's squares and triangles that all of our quilts are made out of. So if you can break your quilts down into squares, triangles, circles for applique, things like that, you can use pretty much all of these designs and quilt a whole entire quilt. So
yeah,
that's my goal, is just to inspire people with these things.
It's very inspiring, and I think it's brilliant. First of all, because you designed this quilt ruler and you're selling it on your shop, and it's a brilliant way to market it and to generate interest. So it's really cool. It's on my wish list. Because I just started ruler quilting a couple months ago, and it's really cool. I just you could just create these designs that you never thought you really could,
Yeah,
with the
exactly.
ruler.
Like, you can see how you can create really cool things.
Yeah.
And really, people have said to me, how are you going to come up with 365? I'm like, you just keep playing. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's just like drawing. It's like kind of doodling, I guess. And there's one video you did recently, and it looks so complex. Like on your thumbnail, it's this spiral but of straight lines, but it's going in like this diagonal spiral shape. And I was like, ooh, I wonder, how she's going to teach that one to us.
How that's going to happen.
And I look at it and I see her just like moving. You start at half an inch in and you just keep moving the ruler, quarter to.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, are you kidding me? Is it that easy?
It is. I think what happens is a lot of time you look at a block or a design or whatever, and you see a whole bunch of lines and you're like, nope, I can't do that.
Right.
But if you break it down one line at a time, like anybody can do these cool, crazy, complicated looking designs if you just break it down and go slow. Like it's doable.
You make it look doable. And I mean, I know the other thing too that I'm like, oh, but then when I go to my machine, it's much harder to like keep that ruler straight and not like, but that just comes with practice. But like, I don't even know how, but it's because you do this every day. But when you move when you move your ruler, I'm just like, how does she know that that's exactly the quarter of an inch? But on your ruler, I noticed that you've got those 1/4 inch lines going all the way across the ruler, and that makes it much easier. Because a couple of quilting rulers I have might have 1 or 2 of those lines across, and I wished it had more all the way across, because then I've got to like pull out the the pen to mark the quilt. And so I like that about your ruler, and I see how you use it that way.
Well, and I'm super, like, I tell people all the time, I'm not totally a minimalist, but kind of that way. And so creating these tools that can serve multiple purposes and have everything you need in like 1 or 2 tools is what excites me, because then I don't have to change. I don't have to have 30 different rulers to quilt one quilt all there. And if I can get away with not marking, like you're saying, if there's more marks on my quilt and I don't have to mark on my quilt, then I'm even happier, because I can
I am so with you on that. Oh my gosh. And the other side of your ruler is like a soft curve, and then you got a couple of smaller curves. So it's really cool. You can do like the curvy designs and the straight designs, like you said, all in one ruler. I mean, it's really a nice design. So I'm excited.
The one thing I'll tell you though, that I just barely have like officially announced and shared pictures this week, I have a new ruler that's coming out that's the companion to that one.
Yeah.
So instead of having it has the curve going in instead of out, because sometimes it's just awkward to hold the ruler. The more you do it. So the brand new ruler is basically the inverted design, or the inverted version.
Right.
So
like
it's called inside out.
It's a concave curve, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So
cool. Nice. Because you could do scallops with that.
Yeah,
or something.
yeah, things
Yeah.
like that that are a little, that you can't typically do with
Mm-hmm.
the other, or they're just uncomfortable to do with the other one.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so wait, before I'm going to go to your shop next, but I have to talk about this
So you're,
video.
no, you're fine.
I have to talk about this. I just saw you just posted this like maybe last week, I think. But your kids took over your camera.
Yes.
Your two kids, and they are adorable.
Oh,
And
thank
your
you.
son, is his name Braden?
Uh-huh.
He is so just like, I mean, he was like serious and giving real answers. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, this little kid is just like, light years ahead of his time.
He is a funny little, he actually, this is totally off topic, but the other day he said to me, because he's like that, like very dry and serious, and he's like, Mom, I think when I grow up, I'm just going to be a comedian. I'm like, okay, dude, go for it.
On the video, he said he
So,
wanted to be a quilter like you.
yeah. And we only vacuum once a year, apparently. So,
Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. I was dying laughing. And then
like, no, we really do vacuum.
and then
Yeah, it was fun. A lot of people ask questions all the time, and I'm a pretty private person, so I had a hard time with it. And my husband's like, you know what? You just leave, and we will take care of this. So that's what happened. And I was super nervous to put that out there that,
yeah.
getting that personal, telling everybody that I want to eat cauliflower pizza and candy all the time. Like, I just get kind of funny about it. And the way that they presented themselves made it so that I felt good about sharing it. So
Oh,
it was fun.
good,
And
good.
yeah.
Yeah, they did a great job. And your daughter, and it was so cute because she told the story about how she got, who she was named after, Kenny Chesney.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my gosh, I just
Yeah.
love that video. And then your husband popped in and he had to tell the story because one of the questions that someone asked was, do you quilt in the middle of the night? And
Hmm.
they can only remember one time that you did that, and it was a really good story. So,
Yeah, there was that one time, but I did finish a whole quilt top that one night.
wow, I mean that's amazing. That's a great video. So you guys need to. I'm going to
Thank
put a
you.
link to your YouTube channel in my show notes, and
Oh, cool.
have my listeners, my people,
Yeah,
go
yeah, for
check it
sure.
out for sure. Okay, so your website is peaceandquilt.com, and it's very nice. I love your logo, and that was the other thing. Your husband and your son were wearing the shirts with your logo on it. It was really cute.
Yeah.
It's a nice logo, yeah.
Thank
And
you.
on your website, so you've got your product and you've got your ruler and you have books. So the book that your first book is like a intro to
Yeah, so
longarm
my first
quilting.
was, yeah, Beginner's Guide to Free Motion Quilting. So that's talking about the logo and all that. That's kind of where it all was born. The cover of that book is the orange slice.
Yeah.
So everybody kind of associates the orange and all of that with it. But yeah, that was my first book that I wrote. It came out almost 7 years, well, 7 years this summer. And it's basically everything I wish I would have known when I started quilting. So
Oh.
starting with thread and batting and how to pull your thread to the top of your machine, the places I thought that I should start. Like I said, when I started out, I was that pregnant, so I never took the classes. It was just trial and error. And sometimes it's still just trial and error. But everything I wish I would have known, I wrote in that book. So it was definitely a labor of love, but it still is
Mm-hmm.
selling really well for being 7 years old.
Yeah,
So that
that's
makes
really
me happy.
good. So is that self-published or do you have a publisher?
No, all of my books. So, yeah, all of them are through CNT Publishing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good. So,
Yeah. So I worked my way. I should just like include all of that. So
uh-huh.
that was the first one. And my sixth one is coming out in August of this summer. And it's all the same that we've been talking about, ruler work and straight line quilting. So even though I'm sharing in the stitch along 365 designs, the, new book has designs that aren't like, I'm not going over borders and different things like that. And the new book has borders,
Mhm.
background fillers, blocks, all of that
Oh, nice.
that are more than this. So I'm excited about that too.
Oh, that's great because
Yeah.
that's part of the thing. Like when I am done piecing a quilt and you're looking at like how you're going to quilt it, borders to me are like I don't have a big problem with the main quilt like area, but the borders, I'm like, what do you do here?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Because I may have only 4 inches, or maybe I've got more, and so it's just if there's an awkward where it gets too big, and then you're like, well, now just doing like the little, what's that ribbony type of? I like that one for
Yeah.
borders, but
Yeah, like the ribbon
but
candy.
but if you have like a 9-inch border, you can't do that.
Exactly. So yeah, exactly. So in the book, there's several border designs and
Hmm.
obviously they're all straight lines. So a little more modern, but
Hmm.
hopefully they inspire people to,
Yeah.
I don't know, just to do more and try more, have more fun with the machine quilting. That's,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, that
really.
should be the name of the game now, is just to have fun with it.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
yeah, and
Exactly.
and don't
No
worry
such thing as
about the
quilt
quilt
police.
police. Jinx, we said at the same time.
Yes. But for reals, that's something I always tell people in my classes and everywhere I go, that the majority of us, this is a hobby. Like,
Hmm.
don't feel like it's a place to create more stress. This is a place where we go to de-stress. So have fun with it. If your line's not perfectly straight, who cares? No,
Hmm.
when you take a step back from that
Hmm.
quilt, nobody's ever going to be so close looking at your quilt and be like, oh, she got a little wonky right there.
Hmm. Yeah, it's true.
Sorry.
And we are our own worst critics, really,
Yeah.
truly.
Yeah.
And
Totally
and
are.
so if you because a lot of people are on many different social media platforms, and you know sometimes you might be in a group that's has the quilt police in it, and
Yeah.
I just say then leave it, because nobody needs that. And most of us out there love what anybody puts out there, and we are inspired by the different types of quilting. And in fact, I think that it's we like um, something that like is it's handmade. So
Yeah.
if it looks
Yeah.
too perfect, then it's like computer made. So
Yeah. Well, it's kind of unattainable when it's too perfect. You're
right,
like, it's easy to just shut yourself down and be like, I can't do that. But
right.
if we all can see that we're humans and we're all not perfect, then um, this quote I heard the other day, and for some reason that what you're just saying about the quilt police being on groups and stuff like that, and this quote just keeps resonating with me. But it was, nobody that's doing wait, let me say it right.
Hmm.
Nobody that's doing more than you will ever criticize your work. So
Mm.
generally, when people are criticizing your work and criticizing what you're doing,
Hmm.
they're not even doing what you're doing. So
Right,
don't let them get you down.
right.
It's not, I know they're out there, the negative
Hmm.
people and all of that, but if we can just focus on, what the majority of us are positive and hope for the best, then
Hmm.
it kind of changes everything, I think,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And I know for myself that I really like to surround myself with more positive, and I just don't have time for negative anymore. It's just,
Yeah.
if I see that, then I'm like, out of this group, goodbye.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I'm
Yeah.
with you.
So, really good. Also on your website, okay, you have merch. It's so cute. You've got
Oh, thank you.
jewelry and shirts and coasters and other stuff. So, do you
Uh-huh.
fulfill that yourself? I mean, do you ship
No,
that
we
stuff
actually
out?
have we ship most of the stuff. Some items are shipped from a warehouse in North Carolina, but most of our products my husband ships.
Oh,
So
wow. Because
that's his
I'm like,
full-time job.
how does she do this? So your husband
No,
helps
it's not
out.
all me. Yeah, my
Okay.
husband, basically every back end thing that happens around here, including laundry, he does. So that's how I'm able. People always say stuff to me like, "How do you get so much done?" I'm like, I really have an awesome husband that I come home in the mornings and he's made me breakfast and he does the laundry and he does like keeps everything going so that I can quilt, and that's the way that I've been able to get so much done.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah,
It's
no,
really,
it's
I'm
good
lucky.
to. I ask about that back end stuff because it just, like you said, people are just like, do you ever sleep? That sort of thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I mean, obviously
exactly.
you sleep, but it's just,
Yes.
just to know that you don't do every single
No,
thing. I mean, you have
no,
to
I
have some help with all that you're
yes.
doing. So,
I,
like you
I
said, with your YouTube videos, you have an editor. So
yes, we have
that's
someone that
that's
edits,
nice.
and yeah, it's definitely not all. And
Yeah.
originally, like when we talked about doing videos, years ago, then it was something that I had attempted, but I'm like, I don't know how to edit. I'm not going to, try to take on this new thing that's really not something I know what I'm doing.
It's time consuming because I do I
Yeah.
I have a handful of videos up on YouTube and I've have
Uh-huh.
an interest in it, but it's like right now I'm doing it all and it is a
Yeah,
major time
it really
suck.
is. It's another job. It's a full-time
Yeah,
job to do it.
it
So,
takes a long time
yes,
to
it's
edit video.
definitely,
Mhm.
I'm the one that everybody sees, but it doesn't mean that I'm the one doing all the work.
Yeah,
So,
but that's smart. So
yeah.
I like that. And what else on your website? Oh, you have online classes. You have a couple on
Mhm.
there. And I read through them. So, are these classes things that you launch and they're only available during that time period because you're involved with it? Um,
Yeah, as of right now, that's how it is. Possibly next year, sometime it will change and there'll be more on-demand type classes. But the reason I started doing the classes online, I've been traveling and teaching so much, and a few different things happened, and with my kids, you saw them, they're small,
mhm.
and leaving them as much as like last year, I was gone to 17 different events. So
Wow.
basically a week at a time for every single one of those, and considering their ages, it came to the point where I was like, I started quilting and doing all of this so that I could be a mom, so that I could be home with my kids.
Mhm.
And now I'm doing the exact opposite of that. I'm not at home with my kids. They're always having someone else take care of them. And so I decided that if I teach online and do these interactive type classes, it's like I'm there in person. And actually, honestly, the people can get more out of the online classes than what I can do in person because of time restraints.
Mhm.
And I can still be a mom. So
Yes.
that's what it all comes down to personally, as far as all
Yeah.
of that.
And I think it's a good solution. And online teaching platforms are, really uh, just kind of I don't even think they've hit their peak, but
Oh yeah, I
they're
totally agree.
out there. And I mean, I enjoy learning from an online platform myself, even just
Yeah.
because I am like sort of reclusive. I like
Oh, I
my
totally get
I like
it.
staying at my house, and I'm thinking,
Yeah.
because they say like, oh, if you want to make it in the quilting industry, you've got to travel and teach and stuff, and I'm like, I don't really want to do that. That's why I'm
Yeah.
like the YouTube channel, the podcasting, and
Yeah.
it can be
I'm
done. Hmm.
agree with you. Yeah, like there is something great about in-person events and all of that, which I
Hmm.
totally agree. But I think we all have different places in life. And the other thing, like you're saying, like there's something about being in your own space, working on your own machine. And if I want to take this class at midnight or,
Hmm.
whatever,
Yeah.
that's when I can do it. So
Right. And
I
if I need to
definitely agree.
pause it, I
Yes,
can
if I
do
need to
that.
pause and go to the bathroom, I'm not going to miss something. It's still going to be there.
Yeah, it'll still
Or
be
eat or
there.
whatever. I take a nap. It'll
Yeah.
still be there.
And then even though right now they're not on demand, you still say that
Uh-huh.
that people who sign up for that have access to it forever, which is
Yes.
great. I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So this is really good because now there's sort of like a hole after Craftsy sold and
Yeah.
became the Blueprint. So the Blueprint, and I know people are like really downing it, but it's just a different company. It's not. It's
It's changed.
I didn't expect it to stay the same. I knew that I was
Yeah.
bought by a huge corporation, and
Hmm.
I knew that they were going to take it into that entertainment type arena,
Yeah.
and so I just take it for what it is, and I still enjoy watching stuff. I actually watch more. I watch more of the cooking and gardening stuff on there.
It's kind of like TV.
Yeah, it's like TV, like while I'm in my sewing studio.
Yeah.
But
I totally
yeah,
agree.
but you do kind of miss that class that like actual, because that's what it used to be.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so, and I looked,
Just
and yours is
teach.
sort of structured like that. You've got like what, like 7 or 8, segments of the class.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
respond to the questions that are asked.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and we have live videos, so it's even more like I have one Craftsy class that I, recorded several years ago, and that's where I got, a lot of my foundations for how I wanted to structure my classes was through filming my Craftsy class,
Mm-hmm.
and it was great, and all of
Oh,
that.
you
It's
did a
just,
craftsy class.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's called I don't even know, something about classic motifs or something like that. Free motion motifs for classic blocks or something.
Oh,
I can't
okay.
even remember. But it's a block-based class as well. So
Okay.
lots of different designs and things like that.
Yeah.
But through that experience and teaching on there and seeing this is the format that was really popular at that time that
Yeah.
people really were pulling towards.
Mm-hmm.
So that, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
totally with you.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's just a change and
It is.
we'll
It's a
move forward.
change, and it's a whole different company. So you just have to, take it for what it is. And there's still, once in a while, there's some good stuff on there. And Angela Walters is on there, and her stuff is great.
Hmm.
And Latifa Safir
Yeah.
just put a class on there, and hers was great on bias, applique. So, you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
it still has some good stuff. But like I said,
Yeah.
I missed that old platform, and you've got a really good platform on your own, which is great. So
Thank
you're
you.
going to continue doing those types of classes, right? Adding
Yeah,
them to your
that's the plan.
website.
We're just in the process. Like we've done the interactive ones and they've gone really, really well. Just kind
Ah.
of figuring out, is that the route we want to continue going, doing the
Mm-hmm.
interactive, or do people prefer, just to have access to all the lessons at once? More of how the craftsy ones are structured versus
Right.
over a 6 week.
Kind of like work at
So
your own pace or
yeah,
interactive.
yeah, just figuring out yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Figuring out the logistics behind
Yeah.
that. So
That's
yes,
interesting.
I will definitely continue having them. We're just figuring out which format to either stick with what we're doing or
Cool.
transition a little.
Nice. Very nice. And you film those right there in your sewing studio?
Yep, everything's
That's
just on my long
awesome.
arm.
Oh, I love
Yep.
it. That is so cool. Well, and your even your YouTube video shots, what else I love about them is that you do a very nice like close-up shot of the section that you're working on. It's very
Mhm.
clear, and I think that's why for me it was very translatable to like take that idea and try to do it on my machine. So,
Yeah, that's one thing I will say about that is I feel like that's what's translated really well as far as domestic machine versus long arm is the way that they're filmed. The camera is moving with the machine, so you almost
yes.
can't tell, is it the fabric that's moving? Like it's
Yes.
kind of, and I tell people that all the time, like,
Hmm.
yeah, you can, it's kind of a mind thing going on here, but they are filmed on the long arm, but it almost appears to be domestic because of that.
Yes. Yeah. It's very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, um, is there anything else? Well, wait. First, I did want to ask you if there was any bit of advice or tips that you want to give beginning long arm quilters, aspiring, um, and then like just something to get just toss out there for that, and then maybe if some people that they have their long arm, but they just haven't really like taken off with it. But they,
Yes.
yeah, so
Yeah.
intermediate.
Yeah. I will tell you a few different things. So first of all, don't be intimidated by the things that you see online or like on Instagram or whatever, because, and I'm totally guilty of this. I'm not posting pictures of the worst quilting that I've done.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all of us are. We all do bad quilting. So it's easy to judge yourself against other people's best. Don't do that. We all do really bad things. My thread breaks just like everybody else's do. I break needles too. If it happens and you're frustrated, just walk away. There's no reason. Like I said earlier, this is a hobby. There's no reason to feel flustered or upset about anything because all it's going to do is ruin your experience with it. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, jump in, but
Mm-hmm.
something you can consider doing when you're starting out. So I know we see a lot of modern quilting happening and a lot of solid fabrics. Those are going to point out all of your mistakes. So just practice quilting like loops on print fabric. And the more you do that, you aren't going to see any imperfections because the prints are going to hide everything. But by just practicing something like loops or a stipple or something like that on print fabric, you'll gain control of your machine, whether it's a domestic or a long arm. And just doing that will help you build confidence, I think, for forever. So,
Yeah.
and even if all you do is quilt loops on quilts forever, at least you're finishing them. And that's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Oh, that's great. And is there anything else that you would like to promote? So you have a new book coming out in August. I'll put the link to your website and to that book, page.
Okay. Should we do like a discount? Does everybody want like a discount?
Oh, everybody would love a discount. Okay.
Let's just do, I'll give everybody 15% off and use the code SEWING.
Oh, that's so generous. Thank you so much. Sewing, SEWING.
Yeah,
book
and it can,
discount.
I'll do it all capitals.
All caps.
We'll do August 31st.
Okay, great. August 31st. Yeah, because I think this isn't going to go up until towards the end of July. So okay. You have 24 hours to use this code.
We'll do it so there's time.
Oh, man. This is so awesome. Natalia, thank you so much. I just enjoyed talking with you. I learned a ton. And, just me personally, it's a little selfish because I have this interest in someday doing long arm quilting. But I do know that long arm machines are much more accessible now, and more people are buying them. So it's very important to get out whatever information we can so that people can do their research and make smart decisions for themselves, whatever that may be. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, whatever's best for you.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you very much. And I will look forward to having you on again in the future.
For sure.
All right.
I'll be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for listening. I thought this was such a great episode on long arm quilting and learned so much from Natalia. Be sure to take her code for the 15% off. Visit her shop. She's got a really cool ruler and a new one coming out this month, and several books. Again, the code is SEWING, SEWING, in all caps. All right, talk to you next time. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Make and Decorate podcast with Stephanie Socha Design, and you can find me on my website. The podcast is there in the show notes at stephaniesochadesign.com, on Instagram, and on YouTube.